Hey, what's going on, y'all? This is Aaron Hilliard from Mushroom Wonderland. It is an amazing foggy day here in the Pacific Northwest. This is late December, right before Christmas, and it's actually pretty mild out here, but it sure gets dark early these days here in Washington State anyways. If you're down south, I envy you for that because it gets dark here by like 4:30 in the afternoon. But I'm going out into the woods, see what kind of mushrooms are growing out here right now. Just going on a nature walk, so I want to look at the mushrooms that are growing on the side of the trail in December here so that you can have a look at them, and I'll help to describe what they are if I know what they are. I don't know every mushroom, but I've been studying mushrooms for a long time. I'm the vice president of the local mycological society here in Kitsap County, Washington, and I like to go into the woods and just discover mushrooms. I study mushrooms, I do microscopy, I like to cook and eat them. Pretty much everything mushrooms. So a lot of interesting mushrooms. It's been just an amazing year this autumn in 2023 for wild mushrooms in the Northwest, and they just keep on fruiting. So I keep getting surprised with what mushrooms we find out here. So yeah, let's go into the forest, just kind of near a neighborhood near my house, and it is like super thick fog, so it kind of adds a mysterious feel to it. And thanks for joining me. Make sure to hit subscribe. Let's go.
Welcome to Mushroom Wonderland.
Little brown mushrooms growing trail side. There's a lot of little brown mushrooms on the side of the trail. Inocebaceae. These are a muscarine containing little brown mushroom you can often find on the side of the trail. Right here as well we have Trametes versicolor, or the turkey tail, growing on some sticks here. This one's really common. Saprotrophic. It's got white pores underneath, those concentric rings. Highly studied for medicinal purposes. Oh, there's more growing right here. So turkey tail mushrooms, really common on the side of packaging for medicinal mushroom blends and stuff like that. Right here, a bunch more of these little Inocebae. Fiber caps is what they call those, kind of the common name for the genus. But those often contain muscarine and can be quite toxic. Muscarine's a nasty thing. It'll actually make you leak fluid out of all of your orifices, so not ideal. You know, you start crying and water coming out of your ears and everywhere. It sounds scary, man. I'm good. Isn't it eerie out here? I mean, Bigfoot could be out here. This is Bigfoot country. Squirrels been eating some mushrooms. They truly do, and they dig up a lot of little truffles and little underground fungi. In this area I often see holes dug in the ground. See right there? There's a deep hole dug. This is probably where a deer truffle was growing. Elaphomyces. Well, right here is a couple more. These are clearly dug by squirrels in the area. I could set up a camera here, be real quiet. Probably catch some squirrels doing it. That'd be pretty neat. Right here, a Trichiloma saponaceum group. This is a slimy, little whitish gray mushroom. It's actually medium to kind of large size, and they can grow in big groups. I'm not going to pull that one up. It's really not of any culinary value. But Trichiloma, pretty big genus that grows with the trees out here, the mycorrhizal associate kind of trees like Douglas fir and western hemlock and some of the pine trees. This area right here is known for golden chanterelle, and it is December. It's pretty late in the year. Typically chanterelles are kind of an October mushroom. But this year has been a little bit untypical. Here we go. Golden Pacific Chantrell. This one, Craterellus formosus. And it's actually a little bit mushy. Most people probably wouldn't notice. It's a little softer than I think I would care for. But, you know, this is late December in Western Washington, people. So I'm telling you, it's been a wild mushroom season out here. And, you know, there's certain mushrooms that come out in the fall that we don't really have in the summer. And then later in the fall and into winter, we have certain types of mushrooms that seem to come out when it gets colder. And so chanterelles have been going all, you know, for the past few months because it's been so mild and wet. Hasn't really been too cold. We had like one little cold snap where it got frosty. But other than that, now it's like in the 50s and it's just wet and foggy. I think the air temperature cooled down and so it created all this fog, which I think is pretty neat to be in a forest that's this foggy. Right here we have a pretty common mushroom related to the wine cap, but this one, known as the ambiguous Stropharia or Stropharia ambigua, these have a dark purple brown spore print like psilocybe. Actually, psilocybe used to be in the genus Stropharia. This one's got a really nice veil protecting the gills. Those spores aren't quite mature enough yet to let that veil release. But underneath here, let me show you. I'm going to use a twig and just kind of open that up so that you can see underneath is where the gills are. So it's going to produce some spores. This one probably won't, but there's a nice cluster of them right here. And these are edible. I don't know, a lot of literature says unknown, even though they're like super common. I can't hardly believe that people haven't tried these. And we would definitely know if they're killing people because people would have wrote that down along the way. So they're probably safe to eat, but nobody really eats them. But Stropharia ambigua related to the wine cap. So it might be a decent edible. If you try this, go ahead and leave it in the comments what you think about it. That'd be great. Let's keep going. Yeah, these are the forests of the Pacific Northwest. A lot of moss on the ground. And these beautiful conifer trees like this. Douglas fir. These Doug firs have this really deeply furrowed bark. And there's a lot of those out here. There's also western hemlock that is a bit more dainty. It definitely doesn't have that thick bark. And it's got these wispy little branches that are very soft and multi-sized needles. So Douglas fir, they're all the same. These ones all different sizes. So this one, Suga heterophylla, means different size leaves. So that would explain the western hemlock. Right down here, another white inocybe, an inocyboid mushroom, another probably muscarine containing mushroom. A lot of these little brown and white mushrooms that are growing just along the sides of the trails can be good candidates for toxicity. So, you know, you gotta be careful when you're dealing with LBMs or little brown mushrooms. Hallucinogenic mushrooms in this area are also LBMs, which, you know, puts them in a category of mushrooms with some deadly ones. The conocybe, the galerina, those mushrooms are considered to be LBMs for the most sake, and you know, they're very dangerous mushrooms. So gotta know what you're doing. What do we got right here on the side of the trail? Another beautiful little baby golden chanterelle. Nice. Just popping out of the moss. So we've got somewhat of a somewhat of a December fruiting of chanterelles. I've been down this trail several times this autumn, and I would have seen these, so they're just popping up in December. But at a certain point, the mycelium will stop producing fruiting bodies. It's not going to just keep on pushing out mushrooms indefinitely. It's going to go into a, I guess you could call it kind of a vegetative state of growth, where it's just building mycelium rather than pushing fruit bodies, you know. So it's got to feed, and it's got to grow, and it's got to do its thing underground, you know, so it can regenerate and create new fruiting bodies. Ooh, look at this. Nice. On the bottom of this, looks like a dead big leaf maple. A bunch of Hypholoma. Yeah, sulfur tufts. Hypholoma fasciculare. I've seen this fruit multiple times this year. These are very fluorescent with a black light. And poisonous. One of the more toxic ones that we have here. Grow in big numbers at the base of trees, kind of like armillaria or honey mushrooms. You know, sometimes people will find those sulfur tufts and then confuse them for honey mushrooms. This is a Craterellus Tubet formis, or the winter chanterelle, or the yellowfoot. Very handsome, right? Kind of looks like a black trumpet, but this is a gold trumpet. I don't know if anybody ever calls them that, but same genus, Craterellus. And these are a great edible mushroom, mycorrhizal mushroom. A lot of this evergreen huckleberry, a lot of salal. Ooh, a nice flush of Mycena. Oh, but look right over here, more of the yellowfoot, and they can grow in really big numbers. It's easy to collect a lot of these at once. Gorgeous mushrooms. They're very tough. They withstand cold weather and heavy rain really well, and I think they're just delicious. They're considered a choice edible, and they can be found all over Washington, Oregon, British Columbia, Northern California, but a lot of people overlook them. They can grow in big numbers. You can fill up your basket really fast, and they're really delicious. They hold up really well to cooking, and yeah, gorgeous mushrooms. So there you go, Craterellus Tubet formis. So I'm coming down the trail and something catches my eye, and it's not exactly right on the side of the trail, but just a step off. And off of this log down here, I see these little mushrooms, and they look like they have little belly buttons in the center of the cap. Let me pick a couple of these and show you what we got here. These ones, beautiful type of Xeromphalina. These could be mistaken for your winter chanterelle, but these ones, the false winter chanterelle. So boy, they look a lot like it. Luckily, they're not toxic, but man, could they be mistaken for them. Interesting mushrooms, and growing on wood just like your winter chanterelle might. There's some bigger ones down there, and these could so easily be confused, but as you look, they have real gills rather than the ridges and folds that the Craterellus would have. Wow, look at this tree. That is a lot of orange jelly fungus. You could eat this, it's edible. But I don't usually see that big of a fruiting of it. Yeah, you could fill up a half a basket with this. Yummy. So Dacromyces chrysospermus, yeah. Big flush of the orange jelly fungus growing here on this tree. A lot of mushrooms this season. Big Doug fir trees. Look at this guy. Or gal. It's probably a big mother tree, you know. Got a lot of offspring growing around here. But areas like this, a lot of game comes through here. So it's a pretty popular little game trail area. where deer come through. Oh, look at it popping out right there. How pretty is that? Beautiful, the flower of the forest. Look at that. Beautiful golden chanterelle. That one's firm though. That one's a keeper, you know. First one we found was pretty mushy. Second one also kind of mushy. This one beautiful and firm. So, you know, probably put that one in my pack and throw it in the fridge. Into the produce drawer. My wife likes to eat them. I can't eat these chanterelles. They upset my tummy. I try over and over. I ate them for a long time, but I don't want to go there. I've tried over and over. Oh, look at these cool Mycena. Look how umbinant that is. Very cool. More over there. Nice little fruiting. Mycena are a white-gilled kind of saprobic mushroom. A lot of Mycenas grow off of wood, kind of like that. You know, there's a little Mycena for you. Some of these are bioluminescent and they'll glow in the dark. Mycena quinaltensis, for example. But what a pretty chanterelle that is. Very nice. So I've recently joined up in a collaboration between a bunch of great creators into a new channel called Mycena. And you can find Mycena on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, everywhere that social media happens. It's really a collaboration of a bunch of creators. I got asked to be a part of this thing. A couple of those creators, more notably Alan Rockefeller, Mandy Cork. There's a whole bunch of East Coast collaborators that are in on it, just putting out awesome myco information via Jesse Campbell. He's doing an amazing job editing. We've got great music going. So Mycena is just kind of a hub for awesome creators to come together and just keep putting out cool mushroom-based content. Kind of a nationwide deal. So make sure to hop over to that on whatever platform you prefer and check out the videos over there. There's a lot of my videos as well as a lot of other great creators where you can get ideas on new people to follow in addition to your favorite Mushroom Wonderland, you know. All right, here. Nice. These are a Laria. So kind of a purplish color underneath, brown on top. I'd call these Laria bicolor or something you could compare with that. Laria, about a dozen different species here in the Pacific Northwest. And these are edible, although they're not really desirable. A white spored mushroom, another ectomycorrhizal mushroom. They have really like scurfy stems that are very kind of woody and tough, and then these widely spaced gills, and they can get pretty big, and they can live for a long time, and they can withstand cold weather. These are mushrooms that I'll find all the way into like February. So Laria, really common trail side mushroom, and yeah, you could eat those. I have hoped that they were tasty, and then I just ate some a little while ago, and I was just disappointed that they didn't taste better. They tasted pretty bad, really. Yeah, it's been a pretty mild winter so far, which is good news for mushroomers. Bad news if you're a skier. It's been a pretty lousy start to the year, but lots of cool mushrooms out here, so it's a trade-off, you know. But I'm not going to be disappointed when it starts to snow. Personally, I love the winter time, but often when it snows heavy in the lowland, that really puts the kibosh on most mushrooms, you know. You'll find some really cold weather hardy species out here after it snows, but for the most part, you know, that puts our mushroom season to an end. Oh, here's a pretty Russula. Look at that. It's kind of looks like the color might be a little bit washed out. This was probably a much more red Russula. But some pretty heavy rains over the last couple days have a tendency to kind of wash the pigment out of a lot of mushrooms. Can render them strange looking or unfamiliar, but a lot of times it's just a really common mushroom that has had the pigment beat out of it by the steady northwest rain. Oh, look at that. There we go. Huge fruiting of Sarcomyxa serotina, the late fall oyster. Look at that. These are in super good shape, and there's a lot of them. A lot of people really like to eat these guys. Nice fruiting of them here. It's like an old red alder log. A bunch more here, a bunch more here, and a bunch more here. Oh, even more all down these logs. So they're out big time this year. Really common, and yeah, they grow just like an oyster. Got this darker spore color. You can see it landed on top of the caps. And an interesting thing is all the gills kind of stop at a certain spot where Pleurotus, or a true oyster, is the gills are gonna run all the way to the base. So these guys growing on hardwood, really common this year, and in a really good eating mushroom from what I hear, although I've never had personal experience eating it. So I could collect these. Wow, there's some big fruits down here, but honestly, I have so many in my fridge right now, and these things just, I don't know, man, the color and something about them just doesn't really seem appetizing to me personally. I know some of y'all are probably hating in the comments. Eat them, dude. Eat them and then comment back on what you thought. I swear I heard something crunching over here. I hope I don't encounter a big animal like a cat or a bear. Make for a cool video though. Here's a big old coral mushroom. This is in the genus Ramaria. And these are tough to ID down to species, you know, whether they're edible or not. Some are toxic, some inedible, some cause gastro upset. Some are okay edibles from what I understand. I eat the spring one. I've eaten it. I don't eat it on the regular, but I've eaten it and I didn't have any issues. But you know, it's a genus that's pretty big, and I have a tendency to kind of shy away from, just because I have heard some pretty bad stories about eating them and being stuck on a toilet for a few days at a time or whatever. I'm good on that. At one time, this was all a really big, beautiful, old-growth forest, but you know, a lot of it was logged. Some of these big ones been here for a long time. All right, so my only complaint right now is that it starts getting dark so dang early. But there's still tons of mushrooms out in the woods. I just want to thank y'all for joining me on this episode of Mushroom Wonderland, and we'll see you on the next one. Much love, everybody. Peace out.